Hi everyone, welcome to my booktube channel. I'm Celeste and welcome to another edition of Girl Sleuths, one of my favorite sub-series in my booktube channel. Before we begin, I just have to share a couple of things that I found on Etsy that weren't too expensive and I just couldn't resist. And they're t-shirts, and I will provide the information down below in the comments for where I got these. But the first one is, ta-da, a Nancy Drew t-shirt with the classic silhouette, and it says "Get a Clue," which I think is just wonderful. And that is from the Cottage Design Company, and they have all different kinds of teacher gifts and girl gifts and bookish gifts and things like that. So that's the first one. And then the second one, I just couldn't resist either. Even though she isn't a girl, she's a woman. We can't forget Jessica Fletcher of Murder, She Wrote. And I found this wonderful tourist t-shirt souvenir from Cabot, Cove. Anyway, I thought those were both really fun. Now, first up, I'd like to speak to you about one of my favorite standalone girl sleuth novels, and that is The Black Opal by Dorothy Maywood Byrd. Isn't that an exquisite cover? This one came out in the 1940s, but I purchased it in the 1960s. When I was a little girl, I happened to see this for sale at a Scranton stationery store, and I couldn't resist it. And I'm so glad that I did, because these are very hard to come by now. They're quite expensive, and they're usually quite ripped up like this as well. Also, Dorothy Maywood Byrd only wrote 3 or 4 books in total, and so they tend to garner a higher price than your average vintage book. The other ones, I'm not sure if they're even mysteries. This is the only one featuring this character, and her name is Laurel Stanwood, and she is a freshman in college, and she is a journalism major. And so I will just read you the inside flap. The gay and lively doings on the campus of a small co-ed college in southern Michigan makes an interesting setting for a modern story about modern girls, especially when mystery is added. Laurel Stanwood, a young freshman with journalistic ambitions, stumbles upon the story of an unsolved murder which occurred many years earlier at the old Sagamore Inn nearby the campus and involved the theft of a rare black opal. The final solving of the mystery by Laurel and her friends proves an important scoop and exciting honor for the campus paper for which she reports. And it's just a really fun, kind of light, typical mystery set on a college campus. And I think the thing that I really love the most about it are Dorothy Maywood Byrd's descriptions of everyday life in the 1940s. And it's full of period 1940s details, like sending home your laundry to your mother to be washed, having a stocking box to hold your nylons, Sadie Hawkins Day dances on campus, and on the campus there's a beau parlor to entertain your male guests, which I thought was just a hoot. I think my favorite part of this book are the descriptions of Laurel's clothing, because we all know that I love fashion detail in these girl sleuth novels. So I'll always remember that at the beginning of the book she's applying for entrance to the college, and she's writing her college application form while she wears her cherry flannel bathrobe. And in other places she's described as wearing a white wool gabardine suit with a white chrysanthemum corsage, and that's to attend a football game, and then dungarees and sheepskin lined stadium boots for winter hiking in the snow. And my favorite, her costume for prom night, when Laurel wears a mist gray tulle with silver slippers and handbag and a corsage of forget-me-nots, rosebuds, and silver ribbon. It sounds delightful. So yeah, this is just a really fun book. Now, Dorothy Maywood Byrd did write some other books. I'm looking for those currently. They are also hard to find in good condition. I don't believe they're mysteries. They might just sort of be stories, but one is called Granite Harbor. Another is called Mystery at Laughing Water, so that one probably is a mystery, given the title. And then I think she also may have written a children's book, like of ABCs or something like that. But in any event, it's really fun, and I wanted to share that one with you. That is The Black Opal by Dorothy Maywood Byrd. Okay, so as we all know, we have our girl here, Nancy Drew. Nancy Drew is either 16 or 18. She is a high school graduate. I always used to wonder about her being a 16-year-old high school graduate, but apparently back when these were first published, you could graduate at age 16 from high school. So she's either between the age of 16 or 18. She has graduated from school. She lives at home. Her father is Carson Drew and her housekeeper is Hannah Gruen. Her best friends are the cousins Bess Marvin and George Fane. Ned Nickerson, her beau, is also a recurring character in these books, as well as her friend Helen Corning, who appears in a few of the mysteries. She lives in River Heights, and she is definitely upper class. She always has money. So we all know Nancy and love her dearly. Now, another pair of detectives that I have spoken about in another video are Jane and Louise Dana, also known as the Dana Girls. Many people love the Dana Girls and grew up with them. I discussed my concerns with the characters in another video, but yeah, a lot of people love them, and I haven't given up on the Dana Girls yet. I've been told to read one of the books that's maybe later on in the series, and so I am going to do that probably this summer. So I haven't given up on the Dana Girls, but I will post that video down below if you want to learn more about them. And then one of my new favorites is the Judy Bolton books, and Judy Bolton is written by the author Margaret Sutton. Her first appearance was in The Vanishing Shadow, which was published in 1932. And this is the copy of the book that I read. These are Applewood books, and they republished all of the gorgeous old Judy Bolton covers. And I will say it's hard to determine which cover art to show you, because the original old copies have just such gorgeous, gorgeous vintage art, but oftentimes the books are pretty beat up, mildewed, etc. I'm glad that Applewood Books republished these editions, but I am also interested in the matte green-spined editions of the books, and so I did buy the second volume of the Judy Bolton Mysteries, The Haunted Attic, in this matte green spine edition, because I think these are just lovely and they're a better match for my Nancy Drew collection. Also published by Grosset and Dunlap. Okay, so Judy Bolton. The author is Margaret Sutton. The Vanishing Shadow was the first book. Her hometown is Dry Brook Hollow. She is age 18 to 22 years old in these books, and she has her brother Horace Bolton, her parents Dr. and Mrs. Bolton. She has two suitors, the wealthy Arthur Farrington Pett and the upstanding lawyer Peter Dobbs. Her best friend is Grace Dobbs, who she calls Honey. And if you are interested in the Judy Bolton books, there are 38 books in the original series. The thing I love about the Judy Bolton books is they kind of remind me if you woke up at like 3 in the morning and turned on a TV show and it was kind of like an old Judy Garland, Mickey Rooney sort of slapdash comedy, but they're solving a mystery, and it's kind of hardscrabble, and they make jokes to each other. So yeah, it's just kind of fun, and I recommend it. I'm looking forward to The Haunted Attic, which is book number 2. Well, when I was a little girl, I truly enjoyed the series Cherry Ames. The series was originally written by Helen Wells and then later on by Julie Campbell Tatham. She first appeared in Cherry Ames, Student Nurse. This is book number 1. Here's the back. And here's the inside cover. That's just a plain gray cover. And that came out in 1943. So these are books about a woman who is going into nursing. She starts out at age 18 and the series takes her through adulthood. And her family are Mr. and Mrs. Ames and her twin brother Charlie. She has lots of friends throughout the series, but because she goes and works in different locations around the world, there are often different friends in each volume of the series. There are 27 books in the series, and some of them are on the back here. I am really wanting to get some of them because they are set during the World War II period and post-World War II. Some of the cover art is just to die for. Particularly Cherry Ames Veterans Nurse and Cherry Ames Department Store Nurse. Cherry Ames Island Nurse, and oh gosh, she works all over the place. It's just really fun. So when the series begins, she's still in school and solves her first mystery. So yeah, this is another one that's really great. I haven't read this in years and years and years, so I am looking forward to taking another look at it this summer. So there's Cherry Ames, and then another one who I equally love is Vicky Barr. This series is sort of post-World War II, and the first book in the series is called Silver Wings for Vicky, and it's by Helen Wells, who also wrote the Cherry Ames books. She starts out at age, I want to say 20, and the reason I say that is because at the beginning of the first book, she wants to apply to be a stewardess and go into stewardess training, but she's too young. I think the age requirement is either 21 or 22. Somehow she does get into the program, but to be a flight stewardess, but she is not 22 at the beginning of the books. Her family includes Professor and Mrs. Barr, her parents, and her little sister, Ginny. She has a variety of best friends, and there are 16 books in the Vicky Barr series, including Vicky Finds the Answer, The Hidden Valley Mystery, and The Secret of Magnolia Manor. This is what the back of this looks like. So yeah, that's Vicky Barr, and that's also published by Grosset and Dunlap. And finally, another nostalgic favorite of mine is the Trixie Beldon series. And the first book in that series is Trixie Beldon and the Secret of the Mansion. And this is written by Julie Campbell. also known as Julie Campbell Tatham. And this book first came out in 1948, so post-World War II years and going into the 1950s. Her hometown is Sleepyside on Hudson, New York. She is one of our younger girl sleuths. She is only 13 at the beginning of these stories, and her family include Professor and Mrs. Beldon and her three brothers Brian, Mart, and Bobby. She has a best friend named Honey Wheeler and also belongs to a mystery sleuthing group called the Bob Whites, and a lot of these mysteries do have the Bob Whites getting together to solve the crimes. In the original series there are only 6 books, and I do own those in these editions. These are published by Whitman Publishing. This is the inside of my book. I just love it. That's Trixie and her friend Honey. And the Whitman books I love in some ways and don't like in others. They break down very quickly. Some of them are covered with a sort of wax paper finish, and it tends to peel off very easily with age. But one of the things I do love about the Whitman books is that they have these great sort of monochrome illustrations. Like they'll have black and white, and then maybe 1 or at most 2 other colors. And I love that sort of mid-century modern illustration. So here's an example of that. Yeah, so I do have the Whitman series, and this just brings back so many memories from childhood. Now, some of these other sleuths, such as the Black Opal, the Nancy Drew books, and the Judy Boltons, I can read as an adult and still enjoy as an adult. The Trixie Beldon books and some of the other mystery series I'll be bringing to you in the future, I collect more for nostalgia's sake because they are meant for a younger audience. So I enjoy these more for the nostalgia and for from a collecting viewpoint. But yeah, they're great, and they still have that old smell of being stored in somebody's attic, you know, and we had all of these growing up. The Trixie Beldon Library. Would you like to solve mysteries, belong to a secret club, ride, swim, travel, go to parties with the best friends in the world? Then the wonderful adventures of Trixie Beldon are written just for you. Don't miss a single one. Well, that's all I have for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. We all love Nancy Drew, but it is fun to sort of traverse outside those borders and talk about some of the other contemporaries of Nancy who were around and who solved mysteries and who have very collectible stories. And so I'm hoping this will inspire you to check some of them out and pick up a couple copies of their books as well. And I hope you're doing well, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.